All right, gang, back here with you on the 24th of June on a Monday here. So we're pulling up on crypto today. The second place was Cardano to the dollar tether. I'm here on Binance. Now I know we'll get there in a second here. I just wanted to just kind of same point I've been making lately as we're going through what appears to be the push for the one wave to complete here. We got to pay attention to all of the resistance along the way. So just as I've shown you with Bitcoin and Litecoin, as those are coming down right now, this is the dominant pivot, high to low. It looks like that 50 is, well, certainly the 50 and the 618 are potentially areas where we can expect some resistance. A note here, I've just wicked off this low. Prior support potentially kicks as that resistance there. Now we're not there yet, and of course nothing says we can't get through it. But if we get through that 65, well, I'd probably check here as well. And then ultimately we got to get to the all the way. So here's our all the way. So the big number up here, we'll call it 20, 26 and change before we've got no resistance on the way up. So just wanted to make sure that we were clear about that. So we are still from that swing, right, still an internal retracement. Oh, it's going to cloud up the chart here. So let me get that out of here and we can go, let's go down to, let's go to a 3 hour here. Okay, so this, I've shown this before, but just to show you how consistent this is coming off of the low here. So it looks like you've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to get your 1 here, but I just couldn't resist showing you this here. So from the 2 to the 3. Right, so there it is, right? This is just as textbook as I can put it in front of you, right? So from the 2 to the 3, we go not the 618, it's into the golden zone. Just a few ticks in, boom. Target rolls over. Okay, so it's always there, always in the market, guys. You can never, you've got to know where that is, what they did last, right? So here we go from 1, 2. Now note here, we get a little break here. Now as Elliott trend, my guess is that's probably tied to this. Let's get right on there. All right, so hard to call that, right? But it looks like that's we're 2, 3 tick front run here, maybe a front run on target. But it looks like that's why we break here. It's a push to get to that target, and ultimately we get the rip coming out of there. So this 1, 2, we got a clear ABC and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the C. So this ABC looks again pretty solid here. So coming off the low, everything is great here. Now it does start to get a little trickier over here. So if we now coming off of that, I can get my impulse into my third. So that's all pretty straightforward. Let's see if I can scrunch up here. Now this sell-off here is a bit tricky, but okay. So do you want to guess where that goes? All right, anyone? All right, if you haven't pulled this up, if you're watching my videos, you ought to have a fairly good idea where that goes. Right to the golden zone. Again, not the 618. It goes into the golden zone. So we from the 2 to the 3, down we come. Now that's deep for the 4, and the subdivision here is it's really rather difficult because it doesn't seem to make sense. You keep thinking, oh, we got to be done, but it keeps going down here. So I don't know that it matters terribly, but for Elliottians here, this appears to be, we got to go WXY, and the Y, well, you wouldn't script it that way, but from the X wave, it looks like I've got a motive wave coming down here, so I've got a leading diagonal into the A wave here, a little 3 in the B, and then got to dig the C out of that. So the symmetry is not ideal, but there's no way around it because the ABC here, it doesn't work as anything else. So, and because I've got a 6-1, because I get a golden zone here, you know, I'm comfortable leaning into this as the 4. Now, one thing to note here, when we get a deep 4 like that, it reduces the probability, and this is, I mentioned this for a reason here. It reduces the probability that if we're going to get a 5, that we're going to get a big kick in the 5 because we've gone so deep in the 4. Now that influences my thinking here, although that said, I do not, well, let's see, where is it? I do not think that we are done with the 5 here. Right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the main reason that I say that is because the odds are we haven't retraced deeply enough if this is the 5. All right, well, that's putting our 2 down here at the 38. Now, it's not that that's not possible here. But there's a couple of variables here. So if the low is in and we've got the 5, well, so there's a couple of things here. One, let's check the 1. So from the pivot low of the 1 from the proposed pivot of the 4. Well, here's our 1618, right, for the 5. So, you know, we can't eliminate it. It's very possible we'll have to come back and revisit this if we're really going to get a rip here. That we'll have to come back and consider that the 5 of the 1 is in, and we're just going to have a very shallow 2. Although this action, well, we'll get into that in a second. So you can see here coming up to the 1, I can't eliminate the possibility that the 5 is in. So there's your first point of caution, is when you're, you know, could be, maybe. That's always a little bit of a cautionary sign here. But I'll tell you why. I don't think that's what we've got here. So let me get this off. So I think we've got 1, 2, 3, pardon me, the 3, the 4 is in. By my estimate here, it looks like we've gone 1, 2. So let's dig in here a little bit more. Now this very nice channel coming down once we get out of it. Right, but the count is certainly squirrely coming down into that low, although again we get that golden zone pivot. Now this, I think we've got to work the completed impulse into the 1 wave here. So per my primary, right? So secondary would be the 5 is in. Per my primary, 4 is down and in, and this is just the 1 of the 5th of the higher degree. So the 1 is in. Now coming off of that, this is a little tricky, right? So you could, well, so okay, let's think of it 2 ways. So one thought is you could just kind of, oh shit, let me back here. Okay, so you could do this. You could say, all right, well, clearly this has been an area of where supply comes into the market, right? If we want to capture all of that. Oh, and you could do it a couple of different ways. So you could use this down here and say, okay, well, this is the range that I'm stuck in. All right, we get up here, sellers come in, we come down here, buyers come in. So we're just in this sideways range, and we've been in that range, well, really, since May. So we've just been going sideways here. Now this is an attempted breakout, failed. So what do you do with it here? So well, certainly I wouldn't be looking to sell here, but I wouldn't be looking to buy. Remember, 80% of breakouts fail. So to take the breakout there would be higher risk. But we can clearly see where all of the, well, look at the volume profile, right? So obviously, right, we've got buyers and sellers trading back and forth here, but not getting out of the extremes here. So here the Elliott count can be helpful. We got let me go to a 2 hour here so we can see it a little bit better. It does look like I've got a leading diagonal into an A wave here. So coming down, it looks like I've got the 1, here's the 2, 3, it is long enough, I did check it. 3 into the 4, so it looks like I've got to go with a leading diagonal into my A wave. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. I get an impulse off of that low. So I think I've got to go A, B, and then I get another impulse into that C here to give me a candidate for the B at this degree. So I've got an A, so I've got 5, 3, and then again I get another impulse to come down to give me a flat. Oh, pardon me. I've got 5, 3, 5. So we're kind of stuck with a sideways zigzag because I don't see another way to count it. You know, I've considered a couple alternates, but I think we've got to go 5, 3, 5. Oh, I suppose you could get this. I suppose you could make this. You could get the 3 here and get the 4. Ah, shit, it doesn't matter, right? So you might be able to, so if it's going to play as a flat, you can get the A, B, C here, so you can go 3, 3, 5. But the symmetry of this 5 relative to this 5, well, I don't know that it matters, right? So here's what matters from the low to the pivot here. What do we do? Golden zone. Back here now, we're testing that, so we're into this lower zone. So once again, right, it's past the 618, goes down, taps the 65, right? So they're playing defense there. I'll tell you what they're doing right there. They're trying to draw in short sellers, right? They're trying to get breakout traders. Now look, so also you've got a little structure here, right? So you're trying to push for some of that, trying to get, right, sucker play for the breakout here. Someone who doesn't know the 6.5 is going to say, "Oh, broke the 618. It's going to sell off. It's going to sell off." Right. So down golden zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't I can't fudge that. I've got a 5, and this is just a free fall, just a straight drop. Hard to dig 3, but if you go down to a smaller time frame, it's there. It is there. So you got to do it as an where'd I go? Right here. So A, B, C is there for the B. Then I've got 5 in the C. So I think this holds pretty well as a B, and then the 5 I get an impulse coming down. Now, yeah, it's a little squirrely on the 5, but the impulse, the structure of it is certainly there. So we've got a candidate here for our 2 at that degree, and we're right at the technical zone where we'd anticipate it. So you go, okay, well, that's technical. We've got, if this is 1, 2, well, we know that we're going to have, I should change that color. Let's go to, what am I not, oh, we'll stay with white. Okay, so it looks like 1, 2. So if this is going to be 2 at that degree, so if this is 1, 2, scooch up here a little bit. All right, so I've got pretty good targets up here. So this would be a candidate for the 3, 5, 4. So if this is going to go, we got to get 4 and 5 up here. All right, so just laying out a potential roadmap. Now we're at per laying it out this way, we're anticipating this is a pretty good kick in the 5 relative to that 3, 4. Now again, I'm not really trying to make a call here as to the timing of it. I'm just trying to lay out where we could be going. If that's going to be 1, 2, I know this is my shorthand. If I'm going to get a true wave 3, my negative 100, so I'll just drop the 3 there. Wait and see how it goes. So I've got this as my target for the 3rd. So we'll just kind of put a little box here as a target. Okay, so let me pull that off because now we go into that. So if the 2 is in here, well, we got to look at this start of the 3rd. So the 1, 2 potentially up. So we've got 2. So we've got 1, 2 at the higher degree. I should take that up a degree. Let's go to subminuet 1, 2. Then into the 3rd. Right. So if this is my 2, this is the 1 of the 3rd. Well, is it technical? Is it? Right. So where are we looking for the 2? Right between the 50 and the 618. Right. So it's just playing right by the book. Right. So look what happens here. I don't know how. 1,500 times, I'm guessing. I've probably shown that. Okay, so there we go. We got a 1, 2. Target has been reached. Now it doesn't says we must be done here yet. Looks like this could just be getting started here. If this is the 1, 2 at the next degree, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 could be going in. I don't know that I'd be making a call off of that. I'm just trying to work with this 1 and this 2 at the moment. So you might. I could do it this way. Often I'll do it this way. I'll just highlight the 1 and the 2 as I look at that and say, okay, 1, I've got a technical pivot here. I got a nice little ABC. I'm looking for the 3rd at that degree. So we could do it a couple of different ways. So here is the 1, the proposed 1. Here's my 2. So I'd be looking for a 3 at this degree right here. Here's my prime zone for a 3rd, down for the 4, and we come up for the 5. Can we get that far? Well, we'll have to see here, but so what we've got multiple corner pockets here in play. So if I bring this, let's go back to the 3 hour here. There's a couple of different ways you could approach the geometry here. So let's consider all of them because because there's so much going on here, I would split. So you see here I've got a 3. Right, so if I pull this back here, but I've got other things on this. But I would have all 3 right here. So I'd have Cardano, same exchange. Well, you might look at a different exchange as well. But I'd want to, because I have multiple corner pockets that are in play here, I'd want to keep track of all of them rather than clutter the chart with them all. I'd want to do it on 3 different charts. So I've got a candidate here for the big one, right? So this one here. Now we've already hit that. So you might look here from the 2 to the 3. Well, we've hit that as well. Now that doesn't take it out of play. It just means that we had as I showed you guys. So what did we get here? Right? Perfect golden corner pocket. Right? It's my favorite trade. Right? As I've said many times, if I could only have one trade, that's all I could do. Only one trade. This is the only trade I would take. Right, golden corner pockets. Right, amazingly, you see them all over the place. Right, so here's the big one that you might be after here, because this algorithm here is after that target. Right, they're not selling here; they're still long. Right, and they'll stay long until it breaks that 65, or we get to this target here. Right, at least there'll be a partial there. So, but the point being, from the golden corner, the 80% is already realized. right? From that corner, boom, right to it. It gets through it, actually. So we have this corner pocket that's realized, but I wouldn't want to lose that geometry since I can see that the market, that seems to be framing the market rather nicely. So if I'm going to go up to this 3, maybe that's in context with the upper parallel here. All right, so we did a little, so note here, remember where the 3rd was relative to this 1, 2, 3, that 1, 6, 1, 8 was right on that. So you start looking for zones of confluence. Well, look what we get right here. All right, so that's definitely, I'd put a hot box right there, anticipating that to be tagged from this. But as we go down to smaller time frames, I've got multiple corner pockets in play here. So thus my suggestion that you split it into thirds so you can keep track of all of them. And perhaps you have larger time frame here. So you might have, you could have daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, or 12 to 30, whatever you prefer to look at. Now, additionally, we'd have something along these lines here that would be in play. Same kind of idea here. We look how they line up. So that channel, right, traditional Elliott, we put a channel on it. I prefer the pitchfork when it's appropriate. So I'll always go pitchfork first, unless I just don't have something that looks, right, the angle's too steep, but there's a reason I would move away from the median lines. So you'd have this. So I would have this plus that corner pocket. So this would be one that I'd keep right here, right, like that, just like that. Okay, so look here how we get this. Well, this could be just beautiful confluence here. If we get that meeting of a channel, so the whole thing would just be, this is, right, that's, for a technician, right, that's a sexy trade right there. If we get that, right, so it certainly looks like that could be there. And all of this moves over. Okay, so we've got this big one here. Now let's just so I can show this. And again, it's just my suggestion. Do what you like. But we have a multiple. Let's go. What am I on, the 3 hour? Let's go. Let's go to the. Let's go down to an hourly. Okay, so remember we've got. So we just did the big one. But we'd have this one here. So from the low here, right? Remember this was technical. But see, now we're moving away from it. So I might move over to this and say, so we're too steep here. Now you could go to the shift, right? That's always a contender. Now look what happens here. So if I'm spot on it, right? So if the first doesn't get it, then first thing I do is go to the shift. Okay, well look what we do here. Right, so that we know this is going to be high. Remember, we looked at this, so that's going. So that's why it's a contender for a flat here. So we're through. Oh, did we get 887 there? We might have. Oh shit! Come here. Let's get the 887 on there. So even through the 887, so we're close to the 90%. So the flat idea works. So if we have now per this tagging those median lines and then the sell-off. So that's a candidate here. Now you could do one of two things. So you could put the 200% here on this. So we'll go back down to those settings. We could put the 200 on that and say, oh, okay, well that's got it, or the 1.5 maybe. So we've got a side runner going here. So we could do something along these lines here. So we've got this runner, a running parallel to the original median lines, which are already modified per the shift modification. Remember, a modified shift is exactly the same as a channel. So this is what I'm trying to get to. So let me pull that off and get this off here. Guess we're through that. Okay. So if this is A, B, C, and the 2 is in, well, I'd have secondarily from this pivot, I'd have this one here that I just had up. So you'd have this one right here. Now I'm still in shift. Now note what happened here. So, but noting that, I'd start in original. Now again, idea being, do I have a contender here, a runner? Do I need to put the 1.5 on that? Probably so. So let's get that. We'll get the 1.5 on that. Okay. So, so I don't even need the second on this one, but I want to stay with original as long as I can. So if that's going to make it, let's go 2 hour. If that's going to make it to the median line, well, some of those targets start to look fairly good. Now, if we're doing this, but we're kind of drifting outside of it, then you might revisit this, because take note here, there's going to be another one. So you have this from the low here. Jeez, I'm rambling on here today. Okay, so we have a corner pocket. It's technically not golden because we don't go into the golden zone, but we have this corner pocket. Oh shit! Right from this 80% probability. We're still looking for it. Right? If it takes too long and it drifts. We might have to go to a modifier, but we got plenty of time looking up there at fourth target. Right? If this is going to get a big 3, here's where we're looking for it right here. But what does that look like? July 19th, that's very possible. We could get there by July 19th. So I would certainly not want to lose track of that target. All right, now, but you've got this other secondary one. So let me go back to an hourly. So I would have that in the middle. So you'd almost have by the degree, right? And then you have the smaller one here. So let me take this one off. So I'd have the big one, right, that I just showed you, then the one we just looked at, and then, of course, I've got another one right here. Now, by the way, look what just happened there. All right, so what do we get here? Oh, just misses being golden, right? So from, am I spot on there? Shit, I know I got a lot on here. Let's get off of this one. Let me make sure I'm spot on those. Let's get this out of here. Let's get right on that. Right, on it, on it, on it. Get out of there. Let's get right on it. Bear with me, going as fast as I can do it. Okay, so what do we do? Oh, just a couple of ticks shy of it. So let's pull this back out. Right, but remember, 80%, right? It's best odds in trading, right, to the tick. Best odds in trading, and there it is, fully realized, right? So the 80%, just like it was realized here, just like realized here. So once again, to the tick, right? So not quite a golden, but just a beautiful corner pocket. So we look at that and go, okay, 1, 2, well, is that the 3? Could it be, is it long enough? Well, it doesn't look like that's ready to be called a 3 yet. So from the low here, here's the 100. We're not even 100% of the 1. So right now, again, as we were looking earlier, look how that lines up. So this might end up looking more like this. So you really tighten down that target. So it looks like this could just be the 1 A, B, C. So it looks like the 1 of the third of this degree could be going in. So if this is 1, 2, we've already tagged the median line. That could very well be just the 1 at the next degree. So I should take that up a degree. So this could be 1, 2, and then yet again we've gone 1, 2. Remember, it's always waves within waves within waves within waves. Right? So if you keep working with it, amazingly, right, it'll start to make sense to you. Well, not always, but most of the time it'll resolve in a way that you can get a grip on. The challenge is always we don't know how it's going to resolve. All we can do is put together probability zones and a roadmap if it does. It's not. You know, people get all caught up on they look at Elliott Wave the wrong way, as though it's a magic, look into the future. It's just a potential roadmap here that's based on historical precedent, these patterns that are so prone to repeating. In the same way that a tag of the median line, it's just a pattern that tends to repeat. Now, you can surmise that an algorithm's behind it. And I would I let you draw your own conclusions how consistently that plays. But the idea is always the idea with Elliott is to organize the past so that we get projection and target zones for the future. That's the idea. It's to organize the chaos, because otherwise, I think it would be much harder to not try and organize this so I know what's likely next. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen. Wave counts get invalidated and have to be redrawn and rethought all the time. We don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I have no idea what's next here. But I can put this together and say, what I know I've got a probability play right here. That when you see that, you got to take that trade, guys. You can't wait. Well, let me wait until it confirms. Well, sorry, you already missed it. Now, could there be another one? If this at this degree, right? You gotta take those, right? They're just sitting there. That's just in your lap. Got to take that trade. Just like you got to take this one. Just like you got to take this one. Just like you got to take this one. If you drop into that golden zone here and the count supports it, you got to pull the trigger there, guys. There is no waiting for confirmation. Just look here. Just this, because we hit the golden zone here. You see that bar start to go, you're in. I'm not saying necessarily sit here with a limit order, but when you see the reaction start to go, you don't have to catch the pivot turn. But you see that start to go off of a golden zone and you've got a corner pocket lined up, pull the trigger. So think of it this way, just the fact that you have the opportunity to get into the market with that low of a risk. Look at what your risk reward is here. So if we go from this, as I should, we're back here, right? So we come into the golden zone. What is your risk reward there? Where in trading can you get a better risk reward? Well, sure, you can go, oh shit, okay, well, I'm just going to risk $20. Well, but then you're trading your wallet. You're not trading the market. In the golden zone, you got a corner pocket. It pops in. It starts to come out. You can wait for it to come out. As it comes out, you got to pull the trigger there, guys. There is no confirmation that you're waiting for other than the first move out. Then buy it or sell it, as the case may be. I mean, this was just like, look at all the E. This is a lay down. This is a lay down trade. Oh, I got a nice channel. It's contained in the channel. I've gone into the golden zone. Oh, look at this. I'm making an internal retracement. I'm right to the 6-1. I'm right to the golden zone. I've broken the channel. So if you want to wait, you could wait for a break of the Vegas wave. You could wait for a break of the channel. What's the risk reward there? All right, if you're a buyer here as it comes out of the golden zone, well, you can put your stop right under the 65. Right, and that was so. I'm not saying you necessarily had that target because your target is up here, but just sitting here with that as your target, that's 26. What did I get there? 26 to 1. How about if we're trying to go for a double top? What'd you get there? 19 and a half to 1. Well, let me get that. I don't want to give you bad numbers here, so you'd have to give it a little cushion here. But you still there's 12 to 1. Up to the upper target here, first algo target, 16 to 1. I had to pull that down a little bit. So 16 to 1, right? Where else do you get that, right? And oh, by the way, right? Of course, you had the corner pocket trade. So you had a golden corner pocket with 16 to 1 in the golden zone. Well, let's use that. Let's say you went for the median line. 9 to 1, tagging the median line. All you're after is, I know I got 80% probability of getting the median line. I'm in the golden zone. I start to push out of it. Stops under the 65. Yeah, there's a little retrace there. That would have been a chance to add because I fucking guarantee you that's technical. 50. Third target. You got to take those, guys. I mean, that is as rudimentary. Oh, shit. Sorry. I thought I had that off. Oh, I know that kills people who listen in their headphones. So sorry, guys. I completely forgot I had that still hot. Okay, so I'm 28 minutes. I'm kind of rambling here. Okay, so we're trying to finish this on the idea that the 2 is in. We've got this set of median lines. So there's a little buy down here. This comes down here. This, trying to get the 3, 4, and 5. There's opportunities to get long here. But just be clear about what you're after here. The idea is not to just buy it here and say, oh, I'm going to hold for the next year and a half. Right? This is, if you're in here taking that trade, be realistic about your expectation about where that trade is likely to go before you see a little retrace. So this is very tradable in here because we're operating on the assumption that the 4 is in. We're seeking the 5th. So any opportunity here where you can get a technical retrace, this is buy zone. We're on the buy side in here, right? I have no interest in selling any of the majors. Right now, we're all good here. So any technical retrace, you can frame it with a set of median lines. Don't let it slip by. All right, guys, back to you later.